Hi, my name is Roy E. Bourque. I'm the recent author of a book called The Merging of Two Worlds, The Convergence of Scientific and Religious Thought. I'm going to talk a little bit about how this book came into being, what inspired me to write it. You ever wonder what the truth of religion is, or if there is truth to it, what that truth is? My introduction to religion came from an old Catholic church in Chelmsford, Mass. I was 5 years old at the time. The stained glass windows, the angels carved in the overhead, the paintings, the statues, the sheer volume of it all. And the first time I heard an organ playing, I was mesmerized. I felt like I was in another world. Shortly thereafter, I went to Sunday school and I learned all about the devil and hell and the wrath of God against all unrighteousness. It all seemed very negative. We were all looking for something positive. And then they went to the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we said, yeah, how do you do that? And they said, do what? And I said, create heaven on earth. And they said, we don't think you understand. I never stopped believing that it wasn't me who didn't understand. At the age of 8, I ended up with second-degree burns on both hands. It made the idea of hell and purgatory all the more urgent, so I started asking all kinds of questions in Sunday school. I was dismayed at the fact that I wasn't finding any answers that were satisfactory. When I was 9, a nun called me aside, and she told me that I needed to get alone with God and ask Him the questions and let Him answer the questions. At the age of 9, I had a very profound experience. I think many adults haven't had an experience of that magnitude. I went back to Sunday school. I tried to explain what I had experienced, and the things that came back with me is either the devil's putting some ideas in your head or you're having some kind of a mental breakdown. What I saw in that experience is that everything in nature is reducible to a common denominator, and that common denominator has a lot to do with what the word God means, but that's not how it's being presented to us. It would be 11 years later before I would get any information that would help me to understand. And it was in the nuclear physics class, when they were explaining what the common denominator was. I said, well, something did happen to me, and I need to do a little more research on this. In nuclear power school, I was able to explain evolution in terms of science, or I explained how everything came into being in terms of evolution. What tipped the scales was my first wife. She was a victim of abuse. She had been through some very difficult times, and it had affected her in ways that I wasn't prepared for. My first introduction was we used to play cards, and she would tell me what to play. And after a while I got the idea that the cards were marked. So one day I went out and bought a brand new deck of cards, shuffled them under the table, looked at the first card and said, what's this card? She names it correctly. I went to the second card. She names it correctly again. I went through 16 cards and she only missed 2. I put the cards on the table and I said, do you mind telling me how you're doing this? She said, they tell me. I said, who's they? She says, these people inside. I says, what people inside? She says, I don't know how to explain it. There's these people inside and they tell me things and I just know. I didn't know what to ask her after that. For the next 3.5 years, I saw a lot of things that I didn't really have an answer to. Life ended in death, which had been foretold to me by a Navy buddy 4 years before I met her. At the time, I didn't believe in fortune telling. After that, I began to say, What don't I understand? There's obviously things happening in my life that I don't understand by science. So after a death, I wanted to try to understand. I started with a psychology course. And in the psychology course, I learned that the brain has two hemispheres and that they don't think alike. The right brain hemisphere thinks in the terms of associations. It's involved with art, music, dance, sculpture. And the left brain thinks in terms of analytical. So the scientific method, mathematics, and language all come from the left brain. As soon as they said that, I started realizing that that's the key to understanding the difference between science and religion. Science is a left brain oriented subject. Religion is a right brain oriented subject. When you look at the modern day, everything is built on the scientific method, mathematics. And when you look at the ancient cultures, you find a much different picture. Their temples are adorned in art and sculpture. Their language is in mythology. The writing of the time was all pictographs and symbolism, which is all right brain. So I realized that in order to explain scientific terms in religion or vice versa, you had to cross over these two dimensions of the mind. And the ancient world didn't see things in a scientific way, and the science world doesn't see things in a religious way.